Alright, so there we go. We've finished drawing up our cave here in Illustrator. We've added the walls, we've added all the symbols and fills, and we've added some extras to make it look extra special and extra pretty. And now that you've finished, in my opinion, at this point is where the real fun begins. Hopefully, as you've been going along and drawing your cave map, you've been sorting everything in layers, and everything is on its appropriate layer, so that if I come in here and I turn off my rocks, that it turns off the rocks and not the silt and the ledges. So everything should be nice and sorted and organized and ready to go. So if you've got everything organized, you finished drawing it, now I think the really fun part is coming in and adding the other graphic elements to make it not just a nice looking hand-drawn map here, but the whole cartography process, adding text and symbols and other graphic icons and photos and other things like that to really make your map pop. So let's take a look at how we go about adding text now to our map. Very simple to do. And in Illustrator, I think the cool thing, not like in Microsoft Word or some of these other applications which are kind of glitchy, Illustrator works with fonts really well. So I'm going to grab the Type tool, and there are two ways you can create type here in Illustrator. One is simply by clicking. If I just click once, that creates a blinking cursor, and let's zoom in a little bit here so we can see what's going on. I'm going to need to drag up. Let's see. Let's delete that. Let's try it again. So I'll click and it creates a blinking cursor, and if I start typing, so let's call this it creates one line of text that will continue on and on and on and on forever until I hit enter and then type some more. So that's a single line of type, and the cool thing about that is if I now grab the black arrow tool, the selection tool, I get handlebars around my type, which if I grab it and drag it out, I can scale it visually, which is kind of cool. Now when you're scaling type, you want to hold the shift key down as you're doing that. So I grab the handlebar, drag out, hold the shift key, let it go of the mouse, and then let it go of the shift key, and that constrains the proportion on fonts. It's bad practice in graphic design to grab a font and stretch it out like that. The reason being that the typographer who designed this spent a lot of time making it look visually interesting, and when we tweak it and do that kind of thing, it's just looked down on in the graphic design world. So if you're ever going to stretch out a font, hold the shift key down and stretch it out. Don't stretch it like that. Don't stretch it like that. That's just bad practice. So once you've got your type here created, this single line of text, let me show you the other way that you can create text, and that is grabbing the type tool, and instead of clicking once, you click and drag, and that creates a text box. So now when I type, this cave was by caving heroes, you notice that it wraps within that box. So I can that, and if I continue typing, it eventually falls outside the box and you get this little plus symbol, and when you get that plus icon, it means that you need to grab the black arrow tool, and this time instead of stretching it out, what it's going to do is expand the text box. So it doesn't stretch it anymore, it doesn't scale it, it stretches it out. So that's how you can create paragraphs of type within Illustrator. Now the next thing you might want to do is change the font and the kerning and the leading and the size and all those elements. So let's take a look at how we do that. First of all, we can do it up here in the properties bar when we have something selected like we talked about earlier. We have properties for that object and we can change it right here. So there is the justification. We've got the font size, the font style, the font, and strokes, and some other things. But if I want more features, I can come up to Window. I can go all the way down to Type, and I have two palettes that I want to use, Character and Paragraph. So let's open both of those. I'm going to click Character, and luckily it opened the paragraph along with the character, so I don't have to go up there twice. Let's move this over here so we can work with it. So here now I have a lot more features. I can click on here and say show options, and I have different stretching that I can do, which, like I said, bad practice. I can do subset baseline shifts here. I can rotate individual characters. So I can do some really cool things with character. Let's just start with a basic font change. I'll grab something like, let's grab Mugnuts here, and we'll do regular because that's all it has. Let's change it and make it a little bit smaller. I can change the spacing in between lines. So from auto, which is 12, let's space a little bit more, 14. So it's sort of like single and double spacing, although you have a lot more control on how much you can space it. Let's click on this and we'll change, let's see, what can we do? We can change the space in between characters, which this is not bad practice, so I can do that. And it spaces it out a little bit more in between each character. So you can do some really cool things. I can come up here and I can tell it to be all caps, or I could just type in uppercase. Let's move this over here, get it out of the way. And let's see, we've got Myriad. Let's come back into our character and we'll make it, instead of Roman, let's go bold. There we go, my great cave map. There's our text. Okay, under the paragraph here, I have the option of the different justifications. So I can click here. I don't want to do it to this because this is not a paragraph. It's a single line of type. So I'm going to click here on a paragraph, a text box that I've created, and we can center it. We can make it right justified. We can make it, what do they call this? Justify. I guess this is alignment justification, left, and spreads it all the way across. So we got some cool formatting options. This is indent. It will indent the entire paragraph there. So you can see as I go up on this that it's pushing it inside that text box. This does the opposite, this direction, and then we've got the ability to indent the first line of text. Let's see, let's try that. We'll go up. Let's see how that did. Doesn't look like there's a big difference there. Sometimes you'll see a difference, sometimes you won't. Alright, so I think that's about it with type. The next thing we'll look at is adding a few other elements that are kind of fun to play with, and for laying out our text and our map. And then I think after that we'll be about ready to wrap things up.